Hi, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, and most of us watched the Super Bowl yesterday. That was, I don't know how to describe it using any words other than maybe slaughter, tragedy, public homicide of a football team, humiliation for the Broncos, humiliation for Peyton Manning, all of that. And so I said, okay, you know what? I think I need therapy. I need to get some perspective on this. So I reached out to a guy I know who is a great contributor with Ball Sports. His name is Jeff Lightsy Jr. Jeff is in college, but Jeff is a stats guy. He's a football guy. He's a sports guy. He knows what he's talking about. So after I text back and forth with another guy I know a lot about, I know who knows a lot about this, Chris Broussard on ESPN. I said, you know what? I want to also talk to Jeff because Jeff can help me understand what I saw yesterday. So Jeff, how you doing today, brother?
Pretty good, Dr. Boyce.
Good. Now I need you to tell me what we witnessed yesterday and. What the hell happened? How did the Broncos even get to the Super Bowl? How does that happen?
So we're watching the game. I'm in college. We get a big dorm party or whatever. And so the very first play, they fumble off the snap. Boom, fumble goes over the head. They get a safety. So from that point on, you could just tell that the mood for the Denver Broncos, they had just died. And then it showed. 2 interceptions the first half, a pick six. They were down, 35 to 30. They ended up losing 43-8. It was just disgusting to watch. It was by far the worst Super Bowl I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm only 18, but that was the worst one it wasn't even competitive. There was no competitive nature. And for a team to have the most points in NFL history, to come out that sluggish, and also 2 weeks to prepare for the Seattle Seahawks, and to come out that sluggish and put up that utter, I don't even want to call it performance, but that performance they put up, it was just awful. It was awful.
Well, and I'll tell you, man, I didn't really follow, the NFL that closely this year. I did pay attention toward the end, especially, everybody was paying attention to what happened with Sherman, and that led me to look into the other players on the Seahawks. And then I saw that the Broncos had this so-called offensive revolution, where their offense was apparently considered to be, unstoppable. It's the number one offense.
Of all time.
Yeah, the best of all time, really. Wow.
Mm.
So how do you reconcile that where the offense is the best of all time faces a pretty good defense, number one in the league, and they just literally got obliterated. They beat them like some Girl Scouts. What was it just emotional, or was there something else sort of technical, mechanical that happened, or what?
The thing is, if you watch the game, the Broncos really could never. The Seahawks were able to match up one-on-one. That's when you lock up the man in front of you. And they were able to do that so good that forces Peyton Manning to hold the ball longer. Well, once he's holding the ball, then front forward, the Seahawks were able to get pressure with Peyton Manning with just 4 men. They have 5 men to block him, but if you can get pressure with 4 on 5 and have your man lock up on the outside, then you're going to win every time. People underestimated how physical the Seattle Seahawks were going to be this game. They thought that Peyton Manning was just going to come around and able to throw the rock all around the field like he's been doing all year. This ain't those teams from the AFC. This is a different breed of monster. We're talking about the Legion of Boom, Richard, the rest of the Seattle Seahawks, and that's why they were able to lock him up to 8. Really, it was a shutout. He got those last 8 points. That's what you like to call it when the game's over and you add some stats. So the stats are kind of bloated, and Demaryius Thomas, some of their stats are kind of bloated because that was garbage time. The game was already sealed. Everybody knows who the victory was. Me and my buddies in the dorm was debating on who was going to win the MVP rather than who was going to win the game because we already knew the game was over by the end of the first half. That was just an utter dominant performance by the Seattle Seahawks.
Wow. Well, okay, Jeff. So I got one last question I want to ask you because I know you got a meeting tonight. You're actually a pretty busy guy for a college student, but I think you're going to get busier as time goes on because I think you're really good at this sports thing. I've heard this old saying that says that defense wins championships. I'm sure you've heard that, and I thought about that when I saw this. Right? Great offense against great defense. Defense comes out. Is that something that you were thinking when you saw this, or do you think that maybe this was just a fluke? That maybe if these two teams played a couple more times, the Broncos might be able to win 1 or 2 of those games. What do you think about that?
Trust me, this was no fluke because if you do the history, the team that scored when the Super Bowl has been matched up. This was the fourth time that the number one offense has met the number one defense, and the previous three times the number one defense had won. So you take that under consideration, you're like, man, this is not really as big of a surprise as it really should have been. It's just the pure dominance that was shown, and also the last three times that the Peyton Manning came in leading the league in touchdowns and passing yards. So anytime that the quarterback come into the Super Bowl leading the league in touchdowns and passing yards, it also lost. Tom Brady was the last in 2007. So you can also take that into consideration. But when the number one offense plays the number one defense, the defenses came on top and the offense is over 4. So when you think they take that stat into consideration, the cliche is true. Defense does win championships, and the Seahawks proved it once again.
Okay, I know I said that was the last question, but there was one thing that just came to mind, and I wanted to know. Now I know you're young, but you know more about sports stats than I do. I mean, is there another? When was the last time a team got beat this bad in the Super Bowl? I mean, last year we had something that looked like it was going to be a blowout, and then the other team came back after Jesus turned the lights out, which I guess some people think the commissioner did it so that they would be able to have a game. But when's the last time a team got their ass beat like this in the Super Bowl?
Well, this was actually not even the biggest margin of defeat. This was the third largest margin of defeat. One of the largest margins of defeat probably back in 1980 when Joe Montana and those boys and the 49ers, they won, I want to say 55-10, won Super Bowl. So I think that's the largest one. And that actually might have been the last time a big time loss happened like that in the Super Bowl, because most of them have been pretty competitive. So, but this is, like I said, this is the worst fraud I've ever seen.
And I'm actually school you on something that happened before you were born. In '86, the Bears, I believe, the Bears played the Patriots in the Super Bowl. And I want to say, I don't remember what the final score was, but I believe the Patriots had 3 points, and the Bears might have had 50. And you can go look that up and find it out.
Yeah, 48.
that was like that. Yeah, I remember that game because I remember I was a kid at that time, and I remember calling one of my friends and saying, "Ha, I told you the Patriots were going to show up and play better than you thought," because the Patriots scored the first 3 points. So they had the lead, and then the Bears scored the next 50 points. And of course, he called me back to rub it in, and I guess that's the way it goes. You get that humble pie.
And once again, that 85 Bears team, they say, was the standard of defense, and they had the number one defense. So next time anybody's watching the Super Bowl, if the number one defense is playing, you might want to go all in and put your money on that defense, man, because defense does win championships, like they say.
All right. Well, you heard it first from Jeff Lightsy Jr. from Ball Sports. The defense wins championships, so don't come in here with that weak stuff or the defense will shut you down. Thank you very much, Jeff. I appreciate your time, brother. It was great talking to you.
No problem. Thank you, Mr. Boyce.
Well, thank you. And everybody who's checking us out, thank you for watching us at yourblackworld.net. And until we meet again, please stay strong, be blessed, and be educated. We are gone. Peace.